How's it going, guys? I am the Daigo Knight, and today we'll be talking about a topic that I've always found very intriguing. What are Madara's Mangekyo powers? No, seriously, Kishimoto was not keen on showing them to us. And as Madara is one of my favorite characters, I've always wanted to know what they were. And today let's find out. So, when I mention his Mangekyo powers, I mean the base powers of the Mangekyo Sharingan. For example, Itachi has Tsukiyomi no Amaterasu, Sasuke has Amaterasu and Flame Control, Kakashi and Obito have Kamui, and Shisui has Kodo Matsukami. I'm not counting Susanoo because we obviously know Madara had that, but we haven't seen any other powers from his Mangekyo, which is very weird. So first, let's take a look at some hypotheses, starting with the skills we know Madara has and could be his Mangekyo skills. Oh wow, Tengai Shinsei. The badass dual meteor drop that made Onoki shite his pants. This is our first contender. So, is this jutsu a Mangekyo ability? Probably not. It's probably a Rinnegan ability. And I say that for a couple of reasons. First, the name Tengai Shinsei sounds a lot like the Diva Path abilities Shinra Tensei, Bansho Tennin, and Shippaku Tensei. They all share some similarities in the name. And the jutsu is very visually similar to Shippaku Tensei as well, which makes very possible that it's actually a Diva Path ability. So this is not enough to say for certain that it couldn't be a Mangekyo ability. But the strongest piece of evidence against it is that in order to activate Tengai Shinsei, the user has to weave 3 hand signs simultaneously, 2 of them with a Susanoo, just like Madara did. The problem with that is that Susanoo is only awakened after the user awakens the base Mangekyo abilities first. So it would be impossible to use Tengai Shinsei as it requires Susanoo to cast, and without casting it, it's impossible to have a Susanoo. You see the paradox here? So it's probably not a Mangekyo ability after all, it's most likely from the Rinnegan. Yeah, Sakamagatama. Well, this one is easy to discard. We see both Itachi and Sasuke using it as well, and it's most likely an innate ability from the Susanoo itself, because we see all the Susanoo users using some sort of Magatama. Even Kakashi uses the Kamui Magatama or whatever. So it's very likely that it's just an extra ability from the Susanoo. Now, Limbo is an overpowered ability, okay? Rin and Rebirth Madara soloed 9 tailed beasts in about 53 seconds with only one eye using Limbo. So, is it a Mangekyo ability? Probably not. It's probably a Rinnegan jutsu, just like Tengai Shinsei. And why, you ask? Well, first let's take a look at the situation in which Madara did not use Limbo that could have been extremely useful. His fight against Hashirama? His countless battles against Hashirama, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong, Hashirama is OP, but if Madara had Limbo back then, when they fought every other week, Hashirama would have gotten stomped, okay? Limbo can deal a ton of damage, hold an enemy in place, block attacks, and Hashirama would have no idea of what was happening because the only way to sense Limbo was through the 6-path Sage mode, and Hashirama only had regular Sage mode, which means he would have been a sitting duck. There's no way in hell Madara wouldn't use it against Hashirama, okay? And if he had, we would have probably seen him doing it, or at least Hashirama would have mentioned it sometime. Also, the absurd level of the ability and the fact that the only way you can see Limbo is if you have a Rinnegan corroborates the fact that Limbo is probably a Rinnegan jutsu. Besides, when Rin Rebirth Madara got his hands in a Rinnegan, the first thing he did was to spam Limbo without using any other abilities really. And we never really saw him doing this with the Mangekyo, which kinda means he probably didn't have it before. But why didn't he use Limbo as an Edo Tensei? Because he already had the Rinnegan as an Edo Tensei, huh? Easy. The Edo Tensei nerfed the revived body. And seeing that Limbo is Madara's strongest jutsu, at least up until that point, it is very easy to assume that he couldn't use Limbo because his Rinnegan wasn't at full power. Otherwise, he would have taken down the 5 Kage in like 36 seconds, but that's something for another video. Well, and those 3 were the 3 main jutsu we could argue that they could be from the Mangekyo. So now we ran out of canon material to use. But why? Why didn't Kishimoto show us anything concrete? Probably because Madara was already too powerful and he had no idea how he was going to kill him. So giving him 2 extra powers was going to extrapolate that even more. Still, from an in-universe perspective, what would be the reason for Madara never using his Mangekyo abilities? Because he loved spamming Susanoo, so it probably wasn't a low chakra problem seeing all the crazy things he's done. It also wasn't anything to do with the blinding of the Mangekyo because he had the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which means he would never go blind. The only reason I can think of is that they were probably not very effective abilities against Hashirama and were probably overkill against weaker shinobi that he fought in his earlier days, so he probably didn't use those powers very much. He probably used them, but we didn't get to see because we don't really know a lot about the Warring States period in Naruto. Then, when he returned as Naruto Tensei, why wouldn't he use those abilities? If you look closer, you can see that Madara is not really trying, fighting against the Alliance and fighting against the 5 Kage and then fighting against Naruto, B, Kakashi, and Guy. He wasn't really trying, he was just in there for the ride. He's mostly toying with his opponents and testing his new abilities like Wood Release and other stuff from the Rinnegan he just got. So we wouldn't really see his Mangekyo abilities because he was more focused on using his Rinnegan and Wooden style, while he was essentially just buying time until he could become the Jubi Jinchuriki. Honestly, he just gets serious during the war arc when Hashirama arrives in the battlefield, and as we've discussed before, his Mangekyo powers were probably not very effective against Hashirama, so he wouldn't use them anyway. So these are probably some in-universe explanations for why wouldn't he do that. Still, it's just kind of weird. Kishimoto may have run out of creativity by that point and didn't really know what to use for Madara's abilities because, you know, the Mangekyo abilities were all very nice and cool and powerful, and coming up with something clever is not always very easy. And now, as we failed to identify anything relevant that could be his Mangekyo abilities, we enter the realm of speculation.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
For some reason, a lot of people say that Madara can use Amaterasu and Tsukiyomi, and they say as though it was a given. However, there is absolutely no evidence for that. Seriously, watch the anime, read the manga, watch all the fillers, read all the data books. There's nothing there saying that he could use any of those 2 abilities. So essentially, the chance of Madara having either Tsukuyomi or Amaterasu is the same chance of him having Kamui, for that matter. And yes, I know some of you guys may be screaming at me, and I'm aware that I left the strongest piece of evidence to the end of the video. So, in Naruto Storm Generations, a game that came out in 2012, which seems like 2 centuries ago by now. In that game, there was a revealing OVA, a scene of Madara fighting Hashirama for the first time animated, and for the first time at all, actually. The OVA came out before the manga or anime fight of Madara and Hashirama. So back then, it was a pretty big deal in the community. In the OVA, we do get to see something that is very likely to be Madara's Mangekyo abilities. Essentially, in the middle of the fight, Madara uses his MS, and his eye starts to spin, and spin, and spin. And he reverses time. He reverses time. Needless to say, this is completely busted. So case closed, Madara can reverse time with his Mangekyo. See you guys later, bye. Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. I'm just kidding. The OVA is not canon, so we can't use it as irrefutable evidence. Also, the fight in the OVA is very different from the one in the manga. For one, the power levels in the manga are way higher, and the battle itself is different. So you could argue that the part of the battle in the OVA is actually happening before the part we got to see in the manga, because the first panel of the battle in the manga was already mid-fight. But that doesn't answer the question of why wouldn't Madara use his reversing time ability at all in the manga? You know, it could really have been very useful. I remember that in 2012 and 2013, when Madara was wreaking havoc in the manga, I had a theory that Madara was never defeated because he was using his reversing time jutsu. If you think about it, there are many situations where it seems like he's gonna get hit or sealed away, and he manages to pull out some miracle and escape. So I thought, maybe he is reversing time after getting hit by all those attacks, and then countering them more adequately. And it would make sense that no one realized that, because as time is reversed, you lose your memories and you can't remember a future that didn't happen yet. Alas, nothing was shown to prove that with certainty, and we are still here knowing nothing. And even so, if he could reverse time, most Mangekyo users have two distinct abilities, and we would still have no clue about his other ability. I started this video looking for answers and found nothing. So, do you guys have any ideas or theories? If you have, comment down below. Also, if you have no idea like me, comment down below a jutsu that you think would be cool for Madara to have. You can make one up if you want. I'll read them and I'll highlight the best ones. If you came this far, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.